Okay, then.
One
Thank
thing,
you.
it's entirely appropriate during that silence that people remove their hat.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice. Fair enough.
Well,
Okay, so noted. All right, then, so we move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Sheriff, why don't you lead us, sir, please?
Absolutely. Please stand. Remove your hat. Place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, then, do we have any changes to the agenda?
None official, just moving item 27 to right after 15.
Okay, so item 27, which is the sheriff's, will be moved right below or right immediately following the bid opening. Okay. All right, then. So let's go to the approval of the minutes.
I move that we approve items 1 through 7.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, and the motion is carried. From there, we move on to the payables list.
I move that we approve items 8 through 13.
That's.
I'm sorry, that's the consent calendar,
Consent
not the
calendar.
payables.
Not the payables.
Did mine get reversed? Hold on.
Consent
All right,
comes
okay.
next, and then payables.
Put it back. Right
Okay.
Go for it.
there. Way at the
Leslie.
bottom.
Change, we're approving the consent calendar.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, motion is carried. Moving on to the payables list, finally.
I move that we approve the payables for the week of March 14 through 18, 2022, in the amount of $1,306,233.58, along with jury panel payments in the amount of $481.26.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye. So moving on to the first of our business segment, which is a bid opening for the RV Park Phase 4 at the fairgrounds, and this is an action item.
All right, bid number 1 from Stewart Contracting, Inc. Okay, bid base, RV improvements, $365,535. Alternate, add alternate 1, $32,240. Add alternate 2, $24,680. Add alternate 3, $5,400. Add alternate 4, $20,000. Add alternate 5, $4,000. Base bid plus alternates 1 through 5, $451,855. Our second bid is from Northwest Grading. RV Park Improvements, $595,160.85. Add alternate 1, $22,382.62. Add alternate 2, $17,134.09. Add alternate 3, $10,800. Add alternate 4, $34,000. Add alternate 5, $3,100.15. And then base bid plus 1 through 5, $682,578.71. I move that we acknowledge receipt of the bids and send off to Fairgrounds and Legal for review.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Okay, then, so we're going to skip to item 27 at the sheriff's request. We're going to move that up, so we'll take that up right away. And it's the financial dealing with the budget. It's a discussion only on dispatch fees and contracts. Sheriff, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, members of the public. As you may or may not know, the Kootenai County Sheriff 911 Dispatch Center dispatches for approximately 14 different entities. In 1992, There was an MOU that was entered largely by City of Coeur d'Alene and the county to merge their dispatch centers. At that time, 911 fees on telephone lines, the funds went to both infrastructure and salary. In 2006, that changed. And now the 911 fees are only allowed to go towards infrastructure. So currently, we charge some entities and we don't charge other entities. So we would like to know from your perspective if there's an appetite to pursue the other entities for 911 fees,
Okay,
dispatching fees, call taking fees, and what have you. I will tell you that there are other sheriff's offices in Idaho that, since the law changed in 2006 to charge entities, we do charge some entities. We don't charge other entities here in Kootenai County. But I conferred this with Darren, our attorney, Darren Murphy, and he recommended we just get it on to see if there's an appetite from the commissioners to have a conversation on this.
can you give us an example of one or two entities that we charge and one or
Yes.
two that we don't?
Yeah, we charge tribal police approximately $50,000, $55,000.
Okay,
And we do not charge the city of Coeur d'Alene, and we do not charge Spirit Lake. We do not charge any of the fire districts.
okay. How long has this been this way?
Well, 1992 is when we originally signed the MOU, and then 2006 is when the 911 law changed, where we can only use that $1 on every phone bill now can only go towards infrastructure and not salary and infrastructure.
But is that going to change if we go forward to include other entities?
No, we believe that we should entertain appetite to other entities like we do tribal. As you know, Post Falls has a dispatch center. They charge the city of Rathdrum $120,000 for employee salary and benefits to go towards their 24/7 operation.
So what happens if these entities are unwilling or unable to pay?
Well, that is open for discussion. I have already contacted many of these entities.
Okay,
And they're open for a discussion on it. I haven't had any pushback. Like I said, the law did change in 2006 to only restrict that 911 fee to infrastructure. And we believe it's time for a conversation, because this county is not getting smaller. I don't think you've noticed. And our dispatch center right now is inadequate to handle our current needs. So I think it's time for a conversation on where we're going to go with dispatch services here in Kootenai County.
Bill?
I think it's time for a quick conversation and some action, because that is really, the services are being used but not paid for. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. Leslie?
Yeah, I'm fine with the conversation, especially since you've breached the subject already, or broached, or however you want to.
I am too. So where do we go from here? Do you want to, are you going to pursue the entities and then come back?
Yes, we are working with the auditor's office
Okay,
on
cool.
some invoices, and then we'll be presenting those to the different entities.
And so this, I assume, if they're all on the same fiscal calendar, that it will happen in October?
Oh, yes. Yeah, now, I have also prepped many of these entities that I don't anticipate, or I wouldn't expect them to come up with the full amount for the first year,
Sure.
because some of them are quite large. So I have suggested that we have an opt-in program over a couple of years, instead of all of a sudden, hey, it's going to cost you this much because you're not used to paying anything. And if we go from nothing to $300,000,
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So that's my
Sticker
plan.
shock. Okay.
Okay, so you're thinking something along a graduated plan?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for the sheriff? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So moving on to, back up to our Business segment number 16, purchase contract with Motorola Solutions 911. Is that Colin? Go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Colin McBride, Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, for the record. This is our big FY22 911 project that we have budgeted. This is a purchase contract with Motorola to implement an MPLS network on the radio system, between the microwave networks, and a detailed engineering design review and study. Initially, our project that we have listed is called Edge Availability. In initial talks and discussion with Motorola on doing that project, there was other things that we need to set in place before being able to actually go fully to that. And so one of them is the MPLS network. So we took a step back and discussed really what should we do. Because we need to implement MPLS first, there's other things with the state, should say Ada County, with the radio system core. We're pre-planning some of the stuff for that. We kind of morphed this project to more this with a detailed design review to set up, come out of that with specific equipment lists for like a 5-year plan of going straight to pre-sales to project, to where we wouldn't have to include that engineering into that cost. So total project cost is $500,000, which is what we have budgeted for the initial project. That was our cutoff. That was our line for anything else that we did to do. So just requesting your approval to move forward with.
Now, is this done annually?
No, this is a one-time capital project purchase.
Okay.
There will be an increase to our maintenance costs because we are including the new equipment with the MPLS network. That's just an add-on to our maintenance costs.
Okay.
I have the figure in here, but it's less than $10,000, which is this, of course, is all 124 E91 funds. And I will make sure to note that the equipment for the MPLS network is being purchased off the HGAC contract. And with your approval, the engineering services would be from our standing sole source agreement with Motorola, as they're the only ones that can
Okay, fair
engineer
enough.
with that.
Overall, though, the project in the next 5 years, is it more expensive because you have to do this first step?
I wouldn't say overall more expensive. This will actually save us, we believe, in engineering time, because we're doing the engineering steps at one time with a team and not having to re-stand up the Motorola engineering team for each project, which they include in that cost. So we'll be able to do a really good detailed design review with them on how we would like the system to progress over the next 5 to 10 years.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, motion.
I move that we approve the purchase contract with Motorola Solutions and 911.
Second.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, motion is carried. Item 17, memo and sales agreement, resale digital duplicator, Kelly Connect, with Kelly Connect, Jared Kaiser, and it's Mail and Reprographics Center. Dave?
Yes, Commissioners, David Reed, Reprographics Mail Center. Basically, I'm requesting authorization to purchase a digital duplicator, which we use for printing envelopes. It's a non-capital item. After looking at a lot of different options, I feel it'd be better for the county to use funds out of this current budget versus going into next year's budget and asking for more money. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. I've looked at my budget, and being conservative, I've felt that I could pull the money out of this year's budget without him and not have to do it next year.
Okay.
So I thought that was the best option and way to go. I did give you more information in the memo that's attached there, more detail. So it's just authorization to use money I have. So,
What kind of inflation are you seeing in the products you purchase? In general, you don't have to be scientific about it.
I'm for the different items I buy, it's everywhere from 20% up to 50% increases so
Okay.
far over the last year.
Yeah, over last year, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Good job.
Thank you, Dave. Motion?
I move that we approve the memo and sales agreement for the Rizzo digital duplicator.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, motion is carried. Thank you, Dave. Item 18, financial budget. Item, requesting the purchase of 2 vehicles with our fund balance for reval, Fund 46, Assessor Residential Appraisal Division. Allison, Troy, who wants to take it?
I'll actually let Troy take it today. We are just, we're requesting to purchase 2 vehicles out of our fund balance, which we have the funds for.
Oh,
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. Troy Steiner for the record. We've got it, we didn't ask for a vehicle last year. It was in our plan, and we chose to tighten the knuckles down a little bit and didn't order it. We hadn't received the 2 that we ordered the year before. Ended up taking one, took 6 months to get, the other one took 9 months to get after they were ordered. That was fiscal year 2021, I believe. So looking ahead this year, the old vehicles we're counting on to get by with are getting worse faster than we anticipated, plus the lead time. We thought it would be prudent to, since we have the fund balance in our revaluation fund available, we thought it prudent to get them ordered sooner than later and to use those funds so they're not an impact on next year's budget and get those vehicles out of the way. One of them's 20 years old, the other one's 17. And they're getting to the point where people are refusing to drive them. So that's what we want to do.
What are you purchasing?
We will need, at least one of them will have to be a tow vehicle, and the other one more of an economy type vehicle.
But both all-wheel drive?
Yes, I think the Fleet Management Committee has agreed on certain parameters, all-wheel drive, small SUVs or that type of vehicle for this type of purchase. So
Okay.
that's what we're looking at.
Questions?
Well, I'll do it. I move that we approve the request to purchase 2 vehicles out of the reval fund 46 for the assessor's office.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, and the motion is carried.
And then will you bring back the purchase orders when you find what you want for how much?
So we can.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 19, Cooperative Law Enforcement 2022 Annual Operating Plan and Financial Plan with the USDA Forest Service and our Sheriff's Patrol Division. Lieutenant Klikifus, please. How are you?
Yes, Chairman. Lieutenant Klinkfus for the record. Just looking to renew the contract with the U.S. Forest Service. It's a co-op agreement. We've done it every year since I can remember. This year, there's $12,100 available. 51% of that, we asked for reimbursement for patrol time at campgrounds and security checks and things, and 59% we can use for equipment purchases for equipment used in the National Forest for law enforcement purposes.
I'm sorry, you said 59 or 49?
I'm sorry, 49, 51 and 49.
51 and 49, okay. Any questions? Go ahead, Bill.
I move that we approve the Cooperative Law Enforcement 2022 Annual Operating Plan and Financial Plan with the USDA Forest Service and USDA Forest Service and Sheriff.
Second.
I second
Bill
the
Brooks?
motion. Sorry.
Wait,
Go
you
ahead.
firsted it. She
Yes, I
seconded
know, I
it.
know.
Okay. Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, and the motion's carried. Okay, thank you, Lieutenant. Item 20, Ground Lease AAL 2022-200. It's a hangar purchase by PLH Air LLC at the airport. Stephen?
Commissioner Stephen Trigger for the record. Item 20 and 21 are combined as they are the same property.
Okay.
The board would like to take those together.
Okay, so the sale and then the purchase? Or the forfeiture of the lease and the
yeah.
new lease, okay. Okay, go right ahead, Leslie.
Affirmative.
I move that we terminate ground lease AAL 2017-700, which is a hangar sale from Tom Wishar, and then approve the ground lease AAL 2022-200, hangar purchase PLH Air LLC.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, motion is carried. Item 22, Development and Ground Lease AAL 2021-1100, lease approval with Schaefer Aviation, COE LLC. Go ahead, Stephen.
Commissioner Stephen Carrera, again for the record, this is for a new ground lease. It's in the amount of $6,013.50 per year. And it's in our new ground, it's a slightly different ground lease, and it's been attached for your review if you have questions.
Got it. Okay, Bill, motion?
Nope. I move we approve development and ground lease AAL 2021-1100 with Schaefer Aviation.
Second.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, motion's carried. Item 23, Ordinance 2022-574, emergency ordinance to take place of Panhandle Health District expiring rule, which is 1 septic per 5 acres, and this is the BOCC. Leslie, will you take this one? Oh, David.
Actually, yeah.
David and Pat.
Yep.
Yes. Pat Braden, Civil Deputy Prosecutor for the record. I'm here with Community Development Director David Callahan. This is an emergency ordinance to implement what are currently rules of the Panhandle Health District for subsurface sewage disposal. We would be just adopting those rules that Panhandle Health has requested us to approve so that they can continue to enforce basically sewage disposal rules over the aquifer, the Rathdrum Prairie aquifer, I should say. And this, obviously, community development has a major interest in this because that's part of the approval process for both development and building. And so this would be a new article within Chapter 7 of the Land Use and Development Code, which deals with sensitive areas. Fairly simple, just 3 sections, and then it would dovetail into the Land Use and Development Code as a whole in terms of administration and enforcement on the county's part. It also would increase the current minimum parcel size in the ag suburban restricted residential and high density residential zones over the Rathdrum Prairie aquifer to 5 acres. That would apply to any new parcel created on or after the date of adoption.
Okay.
We also have findings here that reflects the emergency nature of the ordinance, that it would be that you would find that the inability of Panhandle Health to continue to adopt rules, these rules through the IDAPA process does constitute an imminent peril to the public health, safety, or welfare of the citizens of the county, and enabling you to adopt this as an emergency ordinance today.
Okay. Please, David, go ahead.
2 quick things. First, Pat's found an elegant way to make this work in that he's embedded into the Land Use and Development Code in our zoning categories, as you've read, so that the public will see this seamlessly. To the public, it'll seem like everything is going the way it always has. It's just that we will be driving the bus instead of PhD.
Okay.
The other thing is, go ahead.
Although we will still be relying on their expertise to
Thank
determine
you.
whether compliance.
Yep.
The other critical thing to remember is this has a 182-day lifespan. I have a consultant working on this project. We'll be rolling out shortly with the public an understanding through multimedia approaches of exactly why we're doing this long-term. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be circling back around with the Plan Commission and you in the usual customary way for a public hearing process.
Okay, so 2 public hearings, one before the Planning Commission and then one before the BOCC.
Correct.
Okay.
And of course, Panhandle Health will be intimately involved in that process as well.
Okay, so you mentioned 180 days. Does that mean we have a review after the 6 months?
That's the review is what we're talking about. It would be the regular ordinance adoption process through the Planning Commission and then through the board.
Okay.
With
Have a fairly short time frame in which to do this.
With any luck, we'll be able to get that process done before the 6 months. If not, then we have an additional 6 months we can examine
Yes.
to finish that process.
But our consultants are on board. They're working on it. I believe we can execute within this time frame.
Great.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Bill, any questions?
Nope.
Okay, motion.
I move that we approve ordinance 2022-574, emergency ordinance to take place of Panhandle Health District expiring Rule 1 for septic systems per 5 acres.
Second.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye. David, just a quick question before we leave this. How many parcels, you might not be able to answer this, but roughly, how many parcels do we have that are ag suburban 2-acre minimum that would be
I don't
increased?
know, that'd be a GIS query we could run for you.
Okay, that's fine.
But what doesn't change is the fact that right now they're 2 acres, but they can't have a septic
They
anyway.
can't have a septic anyway.
If they're over the aquifer.
Right.
So
Yeah,
They're
They're
really
still-
5 by default.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're still actually considered conforming parcels under our code, but they just wouldn't be able to, typically would not be able to get,
septic from
Right.
Okay,
Panhandle.
fair enough. Thank you both. Resolution, item 24, Resolution 2022-25, which is to approve the fiscal year 22 assigned fund balance resolution. Dina,
Thank you, Commissioners. Dina Darrow for the record. Before you, you have Resolution 2022-25 that adopts your fund balance policy for the remainder of fiscal year 2022. We did go through in detail 2 Fridays ago where you allocated funds in particular areas for the assigned fund balance. Down in the fourth whereas, you can see that there will be $22,955,459. That will be your 2.5 month cash reserve.
22,950,000?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, got it?
And then your total assigned fund balance will be $13,387,375. Those are the total resources that you have available to you as we plan the 2023 budget. So with your approval, we will make the necessary journal entries to move those balances.
I'm good.
I can't hear with folks talking in the hallway,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Dina.
Maybe it's the hearing aids, but I'm picking up every word they're saying and missing every word Dina's saying.
Okay, okay.
You take it.
She can summarize it
Leslie,
again.
take it.
So just to summarize, the board asks that we have a 2.5 month reserve.
Right.
That is approximately $23 million that will be set aside for cash flow purposes. And the remaining $13.4 million will be placed into assigned fund balance. And you can allocate those resources as you wish for the 2023 budget.
So we're optimistically moving from 2 to 2.5, and hopefully down the road, if everything goes well, 3.
That would be the goal.
If we need.
The goal.
So basically, the 13.4 million at this time is unassigned.
It is actually assigned based on the allocations that you did
Oh,
2
that we did,
Fridays
okay.
ago. These are just places on a spreadsheet,
Got
just of parking spaces where you would like to have that money set. And as we go through the budget process, we'll use that as our tool to fund various projects as you would like.
This, correct me if I'm wrong, this is one of the largest fund balances we've had.
This particular year, the fund balance went up, number 1, because we have a lot of unfilled positions.
Yep.
And number 2, because we received a CARES reimbursement.
Okay,
So we got a nice bump.
fair enough. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Item 25.
Can I
Oh,
accept?
no, go ahead.
Okay. I move that we approve Resolution 2022-25, which is to approve the FY22 assigned fund balance.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Thank you, Dina. Okay, yes, it is 25. Resolution 2022-26, designate the polling places per Idaho Code 34-302 for the May 2022 election. Our election manager, Asa Gray, go right ahead, Asa.
Thank you, Commissioners. Asa Gray for the record. I'm joined today by Rose Carlson, our poll worker and polling place coordinator over at the Elections Department. What you have today is the list of polling places we would ask that you designate for our May 17th, 2022 primary election. Due to redistricting, we have, of course, all new precinct numbers. We also have a few changes that I will briefly go over with some of the polling locations. So we did have, with redistricting, we had some shifts of population and precinct boundaries. So a few of our downtown Coeur d'Alene precinct locations have gone from being 2 precincts voting at the location to just 1. We still have a couple dual ones downtown, but a lot of those have shifted further north, which required us to come up with some new locations both in the northern side of Coeur d'Alene and in Post Falls. Some new locations that we have that are on the list. We have secured Heart of the City Church as a location to be a dual location for 2 precincts. And also Compel Church over by Home Depot has agreed to be a single precinct for this election. In Post Falls, we secured Post Falls Seventh-day Adventist Church, which will be a dual precinct. And also up in Rathdrum, we have replaced John Brown Elementary with St. Stanislaus Parish Hall. That is mainly due to John Brown Elementary was a good location, but outside of the large elections, they had not been giving us the gym. They'd been giving us a specific room, and it's easier for our poll workers and for setup if we have a consistent location and it's not moving around, because then the voters can find it more easily as well.
Where was the last one again you just mentioned? Asa?
It was at John Brown Elementary before. We're moving it to St. Stanislaus Parish Hall, which is not very far away from it there in Rathdrum.
Okay, Rathdrum, okay.
The other thing I will mention, I mentioned that we are moving into Post Falls Seventh-day Adventist Church as a dual location. One of those is a newer precinct, basically, that we needed to find a home for based on redistricting. The other precinct in there formerly voted at Kootenai Fire and Rescue Station number 3, which is just about a mile and a half away. The reason we're wanting to move that over is, one, a dual precinct allows us easier staffing of the polling places, and also the fire station, parking-wise and size-wise, it had been useful over the years, but as we continue to grow, it's helpful to have areas with larger parking and larger facilities. And then the only other, besides the fire station and John Brown Elementary, the only other existing location that we are not going back to is Ramsey Elementary. I don't know if any of you have been by Ramsey Elementary during the school hours, but it's not very far from my house. The parking lot is relatively full on a school day, and the traffic getting in and out of there when parents are picking up their kids is very challenging. And so having that precinct move just down the street to be one of our 2 precincts at Heart of the City Church seemed to be a better option both for voters and for staffing.
Okay. Any questions? I have.
Absolutely.
There's no diplomatic way to put this. There were some concerns in the last election. I don't know whether it was November. I think it was November. Specifically with regard to certain churches.
Okay.
We need space, and I understand that. Do you want to comment on that?
I would love to. Thank you for the opportunity for that. Yes, I do know that there is one church in particular that tends to be more vocal when it comes to political activities in our community.
Okay.
That facility, I will say that in November, we utilized them. They were very accommodating. They went out of their way to make sure that within the 100 feet of the building and within the building itself, there were not political activities going on the election day. So far as even to move signs that they had previously placed away from the building. So I don't foresee issues with the facility itself in being used. I understand that some members of the community may be more supportive or less supportive of that, but the facility itself was extremely accommodating in following not only what we ask of them, but the law itself asks of them.
Okay. Any other questions for Asa? Motion? Thank you.
I move that we approve Resolution 2022-26, designating polling places, was it 34-302 for the May 17th
That's the Idaho code.
primary election?
Second. Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, and the motion is carried. So we move on to item 26. Enhanced Backup System Information Technology Grant.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Grant Kinsey, Network Administrator. So, we have this backup system we've been looking at for some time. Basically, the idea spawned over the last couple years at IAC, hearing from our peer counties as well as other municipalities of what's going on in the cyber arena these days. The biggest fear being ransom, where they come in, encrypt all your data, you can't access it, then they dangle the keys in front of you and say they'll sell them back to you for however many millions they want to give to you. I want to preface this conversation with the fact that we have a good backup system right now. I like it a lot. We could be a lot better, and that's where this discussion comes in. It came up at the last IAC meeting. I was approached by leadership in the county asking why we were not pursuing ARPA funding to, or if, not why we were not. There was, that sounds accusatory.
Could we?
Could we use ARPA funding to, and if we did, what would we do to make ourselves more secure given this threat out there? And my number one answer to leadership at that point was backups. There's a myriad of things we could do. We could send millions and millions of dollars to try to defend ourselves in a reactionary war zone. But what it really boils down to is cyber survivability. And that means that if the worst should happen, despite all the other checks and balances we put in place, what do we do to survive one of these threats that we're seeing right in our own backyard? And the answer is to make sure that our intellectual asset is protected, and that's where the backup system comes in. This backup system that we're proposing that we use ARPA funds on is what we call truly immutable. And I had to look that word up when the vendor first sent it to me. Immutability means essentially untouchable. It means that when we write data to this backup system, even me with God mode on the system, I can't go in and manipulate that data. When I go to restore data for somebody, it takes a copy of the original data and then works from that to present the restoration. The original data is always and is completely protected. And so the discussion today, I believe, has been requested as to how can we proceed with this? It's been tied up in ARPA. Being discussed by the task force. As you know, we've got triple the amount of requests as we do funds for that. I believe the question was posed, could we get this sooner than later and then pay ourselves back with ARPA funds? And I don't have an answer for that. I think that would be a question for the ARPA task force.
Okay.
But I do believe.
I can answer that. I can answer that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I, in particular, am fond of this coming about sooner than later. So using fund balance right now, and then if ARPA comes through that this is one of their picked projects, then we can pay fund balance back. But to me, this is a necessity. Post Falls has gotten hit twice now in as many years. And I just rather not go through the headache and heartache when we have the funds and the availability to protect ourselves.
I agree with that.
Okay. There's an item I think I'd like to add, but it's not on the agenda. Which I guess is also ranking high. Oddly enough, it's the morgue trailer, but that's only $6,000. And I did get a request from Dr. Keene saying, can I take the money from fund balance and just reimburse from ARPA?
Yeah, just put it on the agenda
I'll
next
just
week
put it
and
on
we
the
can
agenda
talk.
for next
We can
week.
talk
Okay,
about
fair
it.
enough.
But this in particular is just a discussion item because if he gets
That's right. It's not-
approval, right, if we give him direction, please go forward and make this happen, then we would address it in a future business meeting as well.
So throw it on next week as an action?
Well, whenever he has the information that we can approve.
I have it now. I've had the quote ready to go. It's, I don't know if
So
you're
we could
interested
put it
in
on
numbers
next week
today,
then?
But it's,
Yeah, yeah, and then just work with Dina so we can just get a projection, and I'm not sure if we'd take it out of the actual 1.5 million that's set aside for IT, if we would take it out of that, or if we would schmooze some other line item there.
well, we typically only use about 500,000 annually in IT.
Okay.
There is another big ask, since we're just in discussion mode, the mobile data units. I've talked to all of you individually
Yeah.
about that, but I think still if the number is 1.5 million, everything would still fit in there
Okay.
for a single year. Because this is coming in about 450,000 on, NASPO contract, which is a,
Piggyback.
well, that's down from $1.2 million retail, so.
Yeah.
Quite a deal. And, since it is on that contract, that avoids a lot of the red tape as far as procurement, because it is on like I said, a national contract, so we're free to move forward with that purchase without
Okay,
competing quotes and whatnot.
makes sense. Well, and I think there's a heightened concern over cyber attacks, especially with the war in Ukraine now.
Yeah.
That's basically amplified the problem, unfortunately. Okay, next week then,
Sounds
on the
good.
agenda?
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Should I submit something to the agenda for that then?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
just do a
yes.
regular business meeting submission and make sure it goes through legal and all that
And
stuff.
that would basically be a request, requesting to proceed with.
Correct.
And it would be an action item because we'll be voting on it.
Yep, yep.
Okay, thank you. Item 28, Kootenai Electric Cooperative, also known as Kootenai North, right?
Yes.
Furniture purchase, discussion.
Yes, so I and a couple other folks went out last week and toured the facility again. Just there were some ideas coming up that we wanted to look at, and then Doug had also talked to us about the furniture. So I think they're going in to have somebody kind of look at the furniture and see where they want to go with it.
Okay.
So what I would like direction for is to start negotiation for the furniture. At this point, I don't see, especially, we don't know exactly who's going to move there, but one department in particular, the desks are older than the department head, who is older than me. And I think it's necessary to get some of this furniture. So I would get our local subject matter expert within the county and start that process if you are interested in purchasing the furniture at Kootenai Electric.
I'm interested, I want to see what the list of furniture is.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
What they're asking for the,
Yeah, they paid $750,000 new for it so many years ago, and I have the email I can forward to you. But obviously, we won't be.
used furniture.
I can't
Correct.
imagine what it would take to furnish that facility
Oh, with new stuff?
with new stuff.
So their new facility is $1.1 million to furnish the new facility, which is 30% larger. So if you take 30% off 1.1 million, then that's approximately. And like I said, they paid $750,000 when they bought it brand new. So we'll
Let's
make
pursue
sure
it.
we get a good
Absolutely.
deal. So
You're all set.
okay, all right.
Direction? You got
Yep.
it. Okay, item 29. General fund postage budget, move to reprographics. Dave? Gee, we shouldn't have kept you. We probably should have.
Well, actually, it's probably me because it's Leanna. So,
Well,
but you can handle it.
It started with me, and
Yeah.
I, over the last couple of years, I've been working with Leanna, and basically, the mill budget went to general funds roughly, I'm guessing, about 1995, 96. Because prior to that, each department paid for their own postage. And I don't know who came to that decision, probably the commissioners at the time decided that it would be better to have it in general funds, which I happen to agree, it makes it easier on our end. But work with Leanna. Basically, we process the payments, we track the usage of it, and we spend the money. We do everything. So Leanna has to call me every year and say, what do I budget for? Where do I put it? And so last fall, I got a hold of Dina and asked her the question as far as, is there a reason why this shouldn't be under my budget versus the commissioners? And she thought it, would probably be a good idea to have it under my budget, but it's obviously up to the commissioners to decide where they want this money to be. And I'm open either direction. I just thought it'd make it more simple to be under my budget versus under the commissioners' general funds.
Yeah, I prefer it over in reprographics since they are on top of it. So,
And we
That's
probably
where-
started with what new?
That's
the new
where it
fiscal year.
resides.
yeah.
Do you want this moved for the current fiscal year, or do you want us to just budget this for 2020?
Please budget for 23. I don't want to go back and mess anything up.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah,
Mid-year
thank you.
changes.
Does that work?
Yep, perfect.
Okay,
Okay.
so you have direction. Okay. Final item, which is our status update discussion. Okay, first item again, facilities expansion.
Yes, so LCA is done with their elevations, and they are asking to meet with us April 13th. So we'll get that, and then as far as the ARPA funds go, we're looking at potentially next week, but more than likely the first week of April. So 1 week prior to the elevations, we'll have that ARPA discussion. So that's the
Okay.
two components there.
Just a quick question. When the ARPA report is submitted, is that going to come to us with a recommendation?
Yes, yes. So my understanding is all of the projects that equal $98 million, the ARPA team is going to present a united front on the top $32 million project that they recommend, and they will submit that to the board. Then the board will have an opportunity to ask questions and then take it under advisement and then potentially just approve it at a different meeting down the line.
Got it. Okay? Okay. Pack Airport lease, we're still waiting on that?
Oh,
We got a
that's,
meeting tomorrow.
yep,
Oh, that's their board meeting?
yes.
Tomorrow?
On
24th.
Thursday,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
Thursday the
that would be the
24th.
25th.
Thursday.
24th, excuse me.
24th, yep.
Today, Wednesday?
Skeet and Gun Club?
So we're going to go ahead and just take that off of our pending list. We don't need to talk about it every month for 6 months or 9 months, I think. So we'll put it back on in November, December, and then we'll be able to talk,
When it comes around.
yeah, when it's
Okay.
appropriate.
North Lot land sale, is that concluded?
Yes and no. We're just waiting to do the deed. So we've got to just bring it to a business meeting. Dave probably should be done here in the next day or two. So it could be as early as March 29th next week. And then we'll arrange payment, and that will be done.
Okay. Financial snapshot, we're still
April
about a
5th?
week and a half away from that. Yeah, okay. And that concludes our meeting. Are we okay? It's not on the agenda, but for the state of the county?
I'm going to put it on for next week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the 29th.
Yeah, that's a good idea because I'm trying to remember what it is precisely we decided.
Yeah, we're going to do liaisons. I think you're going to
Yes.
do open space. I'm going to do ARPA.
Okay? Right.
Yeah,
And I'm
so
do-
I'll put it as a discussion item next week, and we can,
And I'm doing finance, right?
yes.
Okay, I got it. All right. Thank you for that. Okay, public comment. Okay, I've got 2:49, meeting adjourned. Thanks.